Delhi. And Mr. Ranade is the president of the Center for China Analysis and Strategy. He is also currently a member of the National Security Advisory Board. Mr. Ranade is a member of the core group on China at the Indian Institute of World Affairs, a distinguished fellow at the Institute for Peace and Conflict Studies, and a distinguished fellow at the Center for Air Power Studies, New Delhi. Mr. Ranade is the author of many books, including China Unveiled, Insight into Chinese Strategic Thinking, released in January 2013, Xi Jinping's China, published in 2017, Cadres of Tibet, published also in 2017, and Xi Jinping, China's Third New Era, published in 2022. Mr. Ranade's latest book, Strategic Challenges, India in 2030, was also published in September 2022. Mr. Ranade regularly contributes articles relating to China, East Asia, in leading Indian newspapers and defense and strategic publications. He is often invited to speak at international conferences on national and international television channels. So with this, may I please request Mr. Jayadeva Ranade to begin the inaugural session.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to see a full hall. It does indicate that Tibet continues to be an important subject that we all watch. In fact, one of the reasons for our hosting this conference was to sensitize people as to the importance of Tibet for us all, not only in strategic terms, but also in terms of climate, and sensitize us as to the activities that are taking place by the Chinese inside Tibet, which cover a wide range. Just to touch on a few, without detracting from the conference itself, let me point to the, shall I say, almost frenetic infrastructure development that is going on in Tibet. It's mainly dual use, or rather, all of it is dual use. They're building new expressways, including along the length of our line of actual control. They're building more airports. They've already built about 11, and they're planning to build 35 by 2030. They're adding on railways, so they've got one additional railway, and they've got plans for 2 more, linking Tibet with Kweichow and with Xinjiang. And they're making Shigatse, which is the second largest town in Tibet, a hub. In addition, they've already constructed about 628 what they call Xiaokang border defense model villages. And the interesting part about these villages is where there used to be one village comprising maybe a family of 2 or 3 people or 2 families, now they've enlarged the size of that village to 200, 300 people. And what they've done is that they've mixed the population. So they've got people from different parts of Tibet into that village, obviously, with the obvious intent of breaking any possibility of cohesion. And the head of that village is from among them. He could be a Han, he could be a person from northern Tibet or western Tibet. And in fact, the other day I was seeing a report in Sinwa about a new village where the head is Han. So they're mixing the population, obviously with various intent, different objectives. I think a more insidious move, these are obvious strategic moves, more insidious move is the way they have now decided to replace Tibetan as the primary language with Putungwa, making it difficult for the younger Tibetans to have that understanding of their own history and their own culture and their own scriptures. In Mongolia, what they've done, Inner Mongolia, they have removed Mongol as a subject from the ethnic schools, and they've introduced Putungwa. This is as of the last couple of weeks. I expect the same thing will start happening with the other minority regions like in Inner Mongolia and in Tibet. Finally, let me just say that it's not just a question of, strategy or military buildup. It has a huge impact on climate change. Because with the construction of airfields and airports, if they are operational airports, that means the temperature around the airport rises by 2 to 3 degrees. Now, with all this infrastructure activity, there are going to be more people coming into Tibet, population will increase, and the average temperature in Tibet will go up. And that in turn will accelerate the retreat of the glaciers and in course of time reduce the flow of water into the major rivers of Southeast Asia and South Asia. That is a major problem for us all, which we will all have to grapple with. So I'm just wanting to place this information before you. The conference itself, we will delve into it deeper, but the main objective of this conference is to bring out why Tibet is so important for us all, why we need to raise the Tibet issue and engage on it more, where necessary, even with the Chinese. But I'm not going to stand in between you and the highlight of the day, I would say, where my friend of long standing, Mr. Pempa Sering, the Sichong of the Tibetans, and the head of the Central Tibet Administration, will be giving the keynote speech. And he will, in the course of that, I'm sure, bring out the Tibetan perspective on all these issues. With that, may I request you, Pempa, to come here. Thank you.